Hi, I'm Nala, and I'm here to tell you that Carla will not be available for this video, so I will be today's substitute. Isn't she the cutest, though? Hello everybody, Carla here and Nala. This is Nala from The Lion King. We had news last week that one of the things that I had wished for the most in the world was coming true, and that is that Disney is officially in development with a live-action remake of The Lion King. It will be directed by Jungle Book director Jon Favreau, who's a really great director, and I'm really excited for it. So this tells me two things. First, I have to watch The Jungle Book. And second, I needed to pull Nala out of storage. I got Nala when I was around 12 at Disney World, and I love her. She is one of my favorite stuffed toys that I still have, because I keep some stuffed toys of mine as decoration in my room, and also I have some in storage. I love stuffed toys. I really shouldn't have them because I'm allergic to dust, and these things gather more dust than like anything else I've ever known. So I really shouldn't have them, but as soon as I heard the news about The Lion King, I knew that I had to pull Nala out of storage, and I've been shoving her in people's faces for the entire week, basically. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Either way, you'll be surprised when I say this, but I'm not actually here to talk about The Lion King. I just wanted to mention it, but I can't really make a full video about a movie that I haven't really seen yet. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm really excited about it. But in reality, I'm going to talk about a movie that I have seen, which was the third Digimon Try movie, which just came out last week. The movie is titled Confession, and I have now watched it, and I have now really loved it, so I decided why not do a mini review of it. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I love Digimon. It's a staple of my childhood, and actually one of the reasons why I thought having Nala here with me today would be a good thing, and it's because I feel like I need a Digimon partner in my life, really. The mere idea is just so awesome, and when I was a little kid, I couldn't help but love the story, the characters, and relationships between each character and their Digimon. It was one of the greatest stories that I saw in my childhood, and still to this day I hold it very close to my heart. If you guys haven't seen my previous video on Digimon, I speak about all of this in that video, but basically, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it will give you a little bit of background about what my favorite things about Digimon are. But this time around, I'm just going to talk about this one movie. It's the third in the Try series. It's titled Confession, but honestly, if you ask me, instead of it being titled Confession, it should have been titled Drama Like Whoa. Because seriously, this is like the most dramatic I've seen from this series yet. And honestly, I kind of love that. Because one of my favorite parts about Digimon is just the interaction between the characters and the status of the friendships between the Digidestined kids and between them and their Digimon. Because I think that was the most inspiring thing about the original. And I'm really glad that in this one they focused a little bit less on plot and more on character interactions. I will say this before I begin actually reviewing the thing, that I really did love this movie. I think this one has immediately become my favorite out of the three that I've seen so far, and I'm really looking forward to the rest now. Not that I wasn't before, but now I'm really excited to see them, because I think this movie was great. I really loved it. And I'm gonna go more into detail now with the review, but I just wanted to put that out there because I really enjoyed this movie. I think they outdid themselves with this one, definitely.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
So to start off my review, I'm just gonna comment on some of the things that I liked about the movie, which is really most of it. Most of my review is about things that I liked. But just to start off with, from the very first moment the movie came up, it starts off at the airport with the plane going down because of malfunctions in their mechanisms, and it was creepily like a Final Destination movie, which might not seem like a good thing, but I actually thought it was really cool, because Digimon is not something that you think of as like horror, and I think it straight away gave the movie the tone that it was going to be a bit darker than the previous movies and the previous series had been, which I immediately was hooked on. Other thing I loved that they had the girls supporting each other so much. Usually in previous movies you kind of see the girls scattered, because there was only 2 girls for most of the first season, and then Carrie came in, and still you have 3 girls and they're still a minority. So usually when you split them up into groups, they end up with one of the boys or 2 of the boys at some point, which is something that happened in Digimon 1 and Digimon 02 as well. I'm glad that we finally get to see the girls actually being together and hanging together and supporting each other, especially with May, because really May, I wasn't that much into her in the previous 2 movies. She was kind of just there, you know, it felt like her presence was a little bit forced, but this one I really liked it because she, through most of the things, she was just hurting. And again, the main theme of Digimon is the friendship between these kids and their partner Digimons. And just having that in the back of my head, it made it a lot easier to like Meiko. And I like that the girls were there for her. Like, they've actually embraced her as a friend. She's not just, oh, that new girl that we're kind of humoring and just hanging around with because she doesn't have anybody else. She's become a friend. They empathize with her because she has a Digimon as well. So she's kind of part of the group. And I think Taichi actually tells her that at one point. So I liked seeing them, you know, supporting her, telling her, hey, we're here for you, and actually feeling hurt when she's hurt. I quite like that a lot, and I would love to see more of the girls just hanging out together, especially with Carrie too, because we didn't see enough of that. But just, I want to see more of the girls hanging out together. More things I liked. Yes, to all the awkward scenes between Yamato and Taichi where they're both like, yeah, I know we're totally drifting apart, but I still love you, man, even though I have to pretend that I don't, because otherwise I would be totally uncool. I thought it was really cute, really funny of them, and I also like the progression that it's had, because originally, if you look back to the first of these series of movies, Taichi was like really strangely guilty about drifting away from his friends, or about thinking about growing up and what he wants to do with his life. He was feeling guilty about it, and then Yamato was really angry with him too about that. And you can kind of see both points of view, so you can't really point out to one of them and be like, oh, he's right or he's right. No, they both have valid points, but I like that they've now come to a point where they're like, it is what it is, we're still friends, we might not, you know, agree on how to handle this thing, and, you know, adulthood is kind of looming, but hey, we're still friends. Even though it's not like it used to be, they still consider each other friends, and they still want to make the most of that friendship while they still have it, which obviously they still will have it. They just don't know that at this point, because as a teenager, everything is sort of uncertain. I like the way they made progress with that relationship. I especially loved that one point at the end of the movie when Yamato actually, after they've lost their Digimon, Yamato actually goes to Taichi's place and they basically just hang out for no reason at all. And I like to think that it's because, you know, Taichi was basically really depressed and like hanging out in his room and just staying in bed all day because he was so depressed at having lost their Digimon. And I like to think that it was just Yamato kind of being like, hey, you need to get out of the house, let's go. I think that's where you see true friendship come about, and it's especially poignant given that Yamato's crest is friendship, so I thought that was really interesting. More plot-wise, I really like the idea that they're going for, because usually you have a movie and you have to have some kind of world disaster that will sort of threaten the safety of the planet and they have to fight it. And with Digimon, it's been, because it's all electronic, it's been kind of more nebulous. It's like, oh no, the digital world is going to be destroyed. I like the way they explained it in this time around, that not only is the digital world going to be destroyed if we let this sickness that the Digimons have take over, but moreover, you might lose all the electronics in the world, and that really would be a freaking tragedy. I think at one point, Carrie, like possessed Carrie, even mentions maybe losing all the networks you've built over the years, and I immediately was like, what? No internet? No. Get to those Digivolutions, you guys. You have to save the world right now, because that would be a freaking tragedy, let me tell you. So I thought that was that was really fun in a really good way of putting this. It's like, no, the planet isn't going to collapse. The universe isn't going to swallow us. It's just, we're going to go back to the dark ages, basically, and that would be a disaster, and it would be totally counterproductive to our way of life. So yeah, I like that idea. There were many scenes that I like. I probably will just mention them interspersed. I loved the scene in the parking lot. Somehow it felt really thriller-ish when Yamato just popped up and Nishijima was like, whoa, what are you doing here? It was fun. It reminded me of, because I watch a lot of police procedurals on TV, and it reminded me a little bit about that. I kept thinking of scenes from Castle where random people would tell them to meet up at a parking lot, and it was all like this mystery. I thought that was really, really interesting. My brother laughed though, because there's a part where they have like this really intense gaze between Himekawa and Yamato, and my brother thought it was hysterical, so just wanted to add that. I also really love that they are finally outright admitting the fact that Sora is the mother of the group. I love that they took it and they embraced it and they ran with it, and it makes total sense because, again, Sora is the holder of the crest of love, so of course she would be like the mom. And I also like that they also kind of unofficially accepted that Joe is the dad, which is really funny. They haven't outright stated it, but he was kind of the one giving everybody the pep talk, you know, and I found that really cute. Speaking of Joe, I just have to add, Joe and Yamato are my favorite characters in Digimon. If you haven't heard that from me in my first Digimon video, you might want to check that one out, but I have mentioned that Yamato and Joe are my favorite characters, and I just want to say, after all the pain I went through with Joe in the last movie, seeing him smile again is the highlight of my life, and I have to thank Toei because I missed his smile so much, and he smiled so much in this movie, and it was beautiful. He was so positive, and so let's do this, and I love it so much. It filled my heart with joy. You guys have no idea. I loved finally seeing my Joe, the Joe that I loved from Digimon Adventure, back again. Another thing I adored was just all the mentions of Digimon Adventure 1 and all the flashbacks that we got to see. There's this one scene where Yamato is practicing and Gabuman's like, can you please play the harmonica? Feels straight to the heart. That just gave me all the feels, okay? And also there's a bit later on where Koshiro is sort of, you know, trying, and finally Tentomon talks some sense into him, and we can see a little bit of flashbacks to the first season, which filled me with nostalgia so much. They should do more of those. Toward the end, where when they open the gate to the digital world and they go back, and there's this pillar of light and they sort of float into it, and you have Himekawa and Nishijima sort of watching them from below. It was very reminiscent of the climax of the first season, where they went back to the digital world and their parents were left behind. I thought that gave me chills. It was beautiful. And also, of course, when they get to the digital world and they have that, I don't know if it's a beach or a lake, I don't remember, with like the antennas in the water and they're all crooked and falling off. Immediately when they got to that point, I was like, oh my god, Digimon 1. All the nostalgia, you guys, it was unbelievable, and they need to do more on that, especially now that the kids are in the digital world. They can weave in more of those flashbacks. I thought that was really good. I really like the ending sequence for some reason. Again, it's just seeing these pairs of people, like seeing Taichi and Yamato hanging out together and seeing the girls hanging out together. I really liked it, and I liked how they pair a little bit with their Digimon. I thought it was good, and the song was pretty great too. It's my type of J-rock. So I really like that. Other scenes that I loved the scene of the kids under the bridge when they're discussing whether they should pick up their Digimon, since TK already did that. I thought it really showed sort of each personality of the kids really well. I only hope that Koshiro had been there. He wasn't, but I still like the rest of it. All the scenes with TK and Patamon, gave me so much pain, y'all. Like, what? They seriously know how to make a fangirl feel things. Those scenes were so painful, but in a good way. Like, it's good drama. I like that. It also kind of, keeps reminding us that, hey, TK is one of the youngest ones. He might not be necessarily the one who's able to handle these things on his own. And he had to in this case, because he was afraid that they would take Patamon away from him. So he has to deal with that pain alone, and it really hit me hard. In that same vein, I love the relationship between TK and Yamato. The fact that he went to visit TK at his apartment. It's a subtle reminder that, hey, their family situation is actually a lot better than it was in season 1. Because if you remember, in season 1, they hadn't seen each other for like years. It was that bad. But now, they still don't live together, but they can visit each other. They can stay at each other's place with each other's respective guardian. So I thought that was actually pretty damn good, and definitely something that made me smile. Another thing I loved was just Taichi's mom. Again, watch my previous Digimon videos so you want to know, but I have an unearthly affection for Taichi's mom for absolutely no other reason than the fact that I think she's funny and awesome. I love Taichi's mom. I'm so glad that she had an appearance in this movie. Every time she's in any of the movies, I just cheer. I also really like that one scene at the bridge again, but with the Digimon, after the whole possessed carry thing, where the Digimon were actually discussing what they had just learned, and Gatomon sort of took charge. I thought that was A+, because you kind of forget that Gatomon is actually quote-unquote older than the rest. She's not really older, but she's at a higher level. She's a champion. The others are just kids, basically, comparatively speaking, in Digimon evolution. And you kind of forget about that because Gatomon is always Gatomon, really. But I like that they showed her taking charge, because I think that makes a lot of sense. My absolute favorite scene of the entire movie, and this is probably very predictable, but my favorite scene in the entire movie was Joe and Gomamon at Joe's apartment. When Joe was all like, you have to meet my girlfriend, and Gomamon was like, sure, what should I wear? Should I wear a tuxedo? And then Joe is like, don't worry, it's not formal. And Gomamon was like, there's only one thing that I want to ask her. Is she a real life human being? I love them. Again, seeing Joe smile is one of my favorite things in the world, and I was so glad that he got to smile this time around. I was so glad to see him interacting with Gomamon, because those two are my favorite friendship out of the entire series. I love them together. They're so different, but they're so tight at the same time, and that was my favorite scene. And especially knowing that all the Digimon could potentially be infected already, and that they knew that there was going to be a reboot and that they were going to forget. It was just a double whammy, man, because on the one side I was happy to see Joe happy, on the other hand I was like, dude, you don't even know what's coming. And that is it's hard-hitting, that's for sure. All those post-infection scenes were kind of so damn beautiful and so damn sad at the same time. I can't even deal with it. They were so powerful. Another thing I really liked was the fact that Angemon and Angemon actually got to fight. I mean, how cool is that? You always want to see them fight, but you don't want to at the same time because they're supposed to be friends. It happened here, and I loved it. It was amazing. Also, I totally called the backup thing. Like, as soon as Koshiro was like, I have an idea, I'm like, he's going to make a backup of all their memories. I know it. So I totally called that. I didn't call the fact that it would fail, so there's that. And one last thing that I really, really loved was just the morality of this movie in general is what I thought it would be. And it was that Koshiro actually tells Takeru in the last bit of the movie, basically, because Takeru's worried that there's nothing they can do because the reboot happened. Their Digimon most likely forgot about them and everything they had lived together, so what could they do? And he was really upset because basically he thinks it was his fault that this all happened, because he knew about Patamon being infected and he said nothing. There was nothing he could do to save Patamon, and he feels really, really depressed and just, he felt really impotent about it. And Koshiro basically talks to him and tells him, it's not about what you couldn't do, it's about what you will do. Hashtag rules to live by, basically. That's all I can say. I am so going to use that as a motto for my life, because I think it's an amazing lesson to learn. And at the same time, I also love that it was Koshiro who said it, because I love that he's being optimistic as after he spent the entire movie being pessimistic about things. Like, he was so down in the dumps like halfway through the movie that it was almost painful to me. But Tentomon and his sacrifice basically flipped the switch in Koshiro's mind, and now he's like, okay, this happened, deal with it, let's see what we can do about it. I love that he's back to being the optimistic genius kid that we all love him to be. That's about what I wrote down for the things that I like. Now I'm going to talk about some things that I didn't like. First of all, I feel so bad for Nishijima. Like, dude, I don't really see what the point is with him. Like, he doesn't seem to be high up enough in this secret organization that he's actually able to change anything. And at the same time, he can't leave because that would mean not knowing things and being unable to help the children. He's the only one in that organization that seems genuinely worried about helping these kids. I feel bad for him because at one point you can see that Himekawa kind of cares about him, and he cares about her, but you can see that she kind of cares about him too, but she's not willing to put his values over those of the organization. And it's kind of a weird impasse that they're at, where Nishijima wants to do so much more but really can't do so much more. So I feel bad for him. Also, I am 1000% done with Agumon's constant hunger. It was cute the first few times. It stopped being cute after a third of the movie. Although I did find his line when they are first told about the reboot and he goes, "Are reboots tasty?" I thought that was cute, but really, do you have to mention food every time you open your mouth? It gets tiring after a while. Another thing I didn't like is this thing they have with Mimi and Koshiro, where they basically every time they're in a room together, they fight. I could buy it from Mimi because she's very impulsive, but Koshiro just seems to get so agitated that he starts lashing out at everybody, and it's just so weird because I'm not used to Koshiro being that aggressive, especially not at Mimi, whom he's professed to liking. It's just really weird. I'm not entirely sure about how that goes. But also, I cannot stand Miko's father. I hate the fact that he said he was going to talk to his daughter about, you know, everything that was worrying her about Mikumon, and then he didn't. He just brushed her off. I was just very annoyed at that. I hope they redeem him later on, but as of right now, I don't see him in a very positive light at all. Also, Piyamon's voice is weird. I don't know why I hadn't noticed this in previous movies. Maybe she just hasn't talked that much. Her voice seems oddly old for her. She sounds like a 20-something-year-old when I always pictured her in my mind as a little girl. I know I complain about how annoying Palmon's voice is, but they could give Piyamon a little girl voice without it being annoying. It felt really like her voice was just too mature for her. I don't know. Also, have I ever mentioned I don't like the whole mystical girl Hikari thing? I find that really annoying. It really bugs me. There's a precedent for Hikari having weird mystical things happening to her, but I still don't know why. Like, what makes her so special? I'm still not entirely sure. And they still keep doing it without explaining it, so I don't know. Also, homeostasis? Really? Seriously? You couldn't give it a better name? Like, I know that it's technically correct. Homeostasis, for those who don't know, is just the ability that a system has to maintain itself in a balance. Sort of like when your temperature drops too low, the body begins to shake in order to raise the temperature. Whenever you eat too much sugar and it goes to your blood, your body releases insulin in order to balance that sugar out of your bloodstream. That's kind of what homeostasis is, and I kind of get the idea that it's a being that sort of keeps the digital world in balance, and now at this point the infection was so pronounced that it sort of had to restart everything again because it was the only way to bring things back into balance. I get it that it makes sense, It's a stupid name, though. It's a stupid name for an actual being. I don't know. I didn't like that one. And last but not least, Meikomon has breasts. That is so weird. She's basically a furry. That's what my brother was calling her. She's a furry. And that is so weird. I don't like that she goes from looking like a cat to looking like a cat with breasts. It just doesn't make sense. Like, maybe if they had made her human, cool. I'm good with that. But no, she's still a cat. She just happens to have breasts. It's so weird. Now that I'm done with the things that I didn't like, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the shipping because there was a lot of ship teasing in this episode. A lot more than I felt there was in previous episodes. I totally see you and your evil ship teasing toy. I see what you're doing. I caught at least one ship tease for all of my OTPs, which is weird because I don't usually get that much. Like, for example, I don't ship Carrie and TK all that much, but when I do see little things here and there between them, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember. They were cute. I could totally go for it if it happened. It didn't happen. I still got ship teased in this movie. For example, you see Carrie, at the beginning thinking of how much TK has matured, which it was really weird, and then she's like really flustered when he realizes she's been staring. That was weird. You have TK asking Yamato if he fought with Sora, and he's like, why would I fight with Sora? That was funny. Then, of course, near the end, when they are watching the fight, Takeru wants to keep Patamon from going to the fight, and Hikari holds him back, and she actually remains holding him for quite a long time. You have Joe and Mimi and Yamato and Sora arriving at the convention center together, like each pair together. Am I supposed to assume that they were just coming from the same direction, or am I supposed to assume that they were together somehow? And then, of course, at the end, when they enter the gate, you have Yamato comforting Sora, which is kind of interesting because there haven't been any real signs of Yamasora in this movie series. But we know they do end up together in 02, so that's funny. You would think they would give us more hints. They gave us this one, and I thought it was really, really solid, honestly. Yamato isn't usually a touchy-feely person unless he's either angry or trying to get the person to see sense. It's happened a lot with Taichi. It happened in this movie with Meiko too, so it was interesting how supportive it was. He's usually not like that. I don't know what to say except, do you think it's funny to play with my feelings this way? Really, if you're not going to go through with any of these, just don't ship tease me. It's not fun. Also, I have to say, I don't really understand what they're doing with Mei as far as shipping is concerned. Am I supposed to ship her with Taichi? Am I supposed to ship her with Yamato? I don't know, it seems like all they're really pushing with her is just her interaction with Takeru, and I'm pretty sure she's like 3 years older than him, and it's really fucking creepy. So I can't ship those two, so I don't know what they want me to feel when it comes to Mei. Like, seriously, I don't know anything. Some random things I want to mention. My brother insists that Meiko's mom looks younger than Meiko. I tell him it's because Asian people have magical genes that, especially the women, make them look like they're very young until they're in their 70s. But I don't know, maybe that's just a generalization on my part, so don't take it too seriously. I just know that my brother found it funny that Mei's mom looks so young. Also, I laughed out loud when I saw Taichi sort of sitting at his desk looking out the window, because it's a very Rei Ayanami thing to do, from Evangelion. Yamato also does it at least once later on, so I thought that was kind of funny. And I also laughed at Sleeping Bag Burrito Koshiro. I thought that was funny. One thing that creeped me out was Patamon. Seriously, holy digital vampires, Patamon, what the hell? He bit Takeru, and does that mean that TK is now going to become a digital zombie and or digital vampire too? It felt very Walking Dead. Another thing that I found sort of silly was Mimi. Was she trying to call Yamato a tsundere? Was that what she was trying to do when she kept saying tundara tundara? I thought that was really weird, and Yamato was like, that's not even Japanese. Of course it's not. It's supposed to be tsundere. Let's face it, Yamato totally fits the tsundere description, really. Also, never tell a Digimon a secret. Okay? I thought we had learned that lesson from like the previous few seasons? Apparently we have not. As soon as Patamon was like, yes, please don't tell anybody because Takeru wants it kept a secret. I'm like, dude, do you not know who you're dealing with? They're all going to blab it out to their partners. That's just what's gonna happen. Especially Agumon. Never tell Agumon a secret. It just doesn't work. I found funny that they had a Daskin Robbins. I laughed a lot about that. And on the other hand, they also had a lot of like real drama queen descriptions. Like I think at one point when Meikumon appears at the convention center, I believe they call her a harbinger of extraordinary disaster, which is like, jeez, drama much. When Gatomon evolved into Angelmon, I was actually doubtful that was her original costume. So for some reason, it looked different to me. My brother assures me that it is the original costume. It's just better animated. Also, random comment, Hercules Kabuterimon is such a mouthful to say. It's ridiculous. And also another thing I was looking at is when Jesmon appeared. Does that thing not have feet? It seems to just be standing on like points. Is it standing or is it just floating? I don't know what's going on. So those were random comments that I just had to make. I'm just gonna end this on things I still don't understand, because if there is a subtitle for Digimon Try in general, is I don't fucking know what's going on here. I'm not smart enough for this shit. There are certain things that I still don't get. For example, at the beginning of the movie, they called the airport New Haneda, which I thought was weird because there is a Haneda in Tokyo. Why is it called New Haneda? Like, am I supposed to take that as a hint that this is some kind of, pun intended, reboot of the original series, sort of like an Eva rebuild type thing? Are they hinting at like a continuity reboot of some sort? I'm not sure. Things I didn't understand. Where the fuck were Koshiro's parents? Like, that kid spent weeks in that office, not sleeping, drinking nothing but tea. Where the hell were his parents? Why did nobody ever come get him out of that place? And it was interesting because Koshiro, after season 1, Koshiro is one of the few kids from season 1 who actually manages to have a decent relationship with his parents. So what just happened? Another thing is, seriously, like, what's wrong with the goddamn photo? Why are we not shown the photo? They keep showing it to us, it having a glare on the glass of the photo frame, so we can't see the actual photo, we just see the frame. It's gotta be some sort of clue, right? Because they've been doing it since day 1. So why do they never show it? It has to mean something. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. The way they just seem to get together sometimes, how did they know where and how they had to meet when Meikumon appeared? Like, I can understand Taichi because he has the goggles, but how did everybody else know? Joe was just there, he just appeared on his bike. So how did that happen? Did Koshiro text them all or something? I just don't buy that it was some kind of like psychic connection that they have. It just doesn't work that way. Same thing later on when they decide to go back to the digital world. They just get together out of the blue. Taichi hears a whistle and he runs toward the sound and Gary follows him. But everybody else, like, am I supposed to assume they heard the whistle too? And I know the whistle has been like a thing in previous seasons of Digimon, but really, like, just magical whistles? It makes no sense. How? Am I supposed to assume that there's some kind of digital world magic that I'm missing? I don't understand. Also, Meikumon was really freaking strong, and I was very curious to know if that was her own strength or if it was just something that the infection imbued her with. I'm not sure. I wanted to know and they didn't really explain it, so. Also, speaking of infection, why did Greymon's infection never flare up? We know that Agumon was doing the fleshy thing that was a signal that he was infected, but it never came up, and all the other Digimons got infected except Greymon. Why? And Tentomons as well. Why did they not get infected to begin with? And while we're at it, why did the infection in all the others suddenly go away at the end? Like when Tentomon was trying to subdue Meikumon, all the others were infected, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we have to help Tentomon. So we're suddenly uninfected. What? But most of all, the things that I don't understand is, where is Daisuke, Miyako, and Yori? Where are they? And why does nobody bring them up. Like, this is not normal. Did Himikawa and the company brainwash the Digidestined so that they would forget about those three? Did they erase their memories or something? Is that why the next episode is called Loss? Is that why this organization knows that they are missing? Because they showed us in this movie that Daisuke, Iori, and probably Miyako are missing. They're labeled missing. So how do they know that? While the Destined kids don't. Like, they're their friends, they should know. It makes no sense. Why haven't they even thought about them? Also, who's the white Digimon with the red cape? I don't know. I guess he's working with the organization in some way. And this whole idea that Meikumon was sort of patient zero for the infection. How? Where did she come from? Where did she get it? How did that happen? We don't know anything about it except for the fact that she had it from the beginning. And why did it only start spreading when she moved to Tokyo? And was that Ken's D3 that Himikawa had at the end? My brother was immediately jumping up and down like, that's Ken's D3! And I'm like, I don't know, maybe she just has spare D3s at home or something. Who knows? And then you get to the end and it turns out that the one you thought was Ken isn't really Ken, it's just Genai. And all of a sudden he's talking to Himikawa inside the digital world. Like, I don't understand what's going on. This movie is just... I'm obviously too stupid to get this, but I'm so confused, you guys. I'm so confused. I don't know. Despite my never-ending confusion, I actually really love this movie. Like I said, it was very dramatic, but I like that. I like that the drama focused on the characters' individual issues and on the issues in their relationship to each other, in their trust for each other, in the relationship with their Digimon partners. That is what Digimon is all about, and I really, really liked this take on it. I can't wait to see the next few movies. I think number 4 is coming out in February, if I'm not wrong, either February or March, but it's coming out relatively soon after the holidays, and I'm really psyched to see it. Apparently it, like I said before, it's titled Loss. I am very curious as to what that loss is about, because I thought we had already done the ultimate sacrifice here, which was the reboot. What else are they going to lose? Is it going to be about their lost memories somehow? Or their lost friends somehow? I'm not entirely sure, but I can't wait to see it. I guess they're sort of done with the whole pairing up characters thing, because the first movie it was Yamato and Taichi paired up, and then the second movie it was Mimi and Joe paired up, and the third movie it was more about TK and Koshiro. But apparently I haven't seen a decent version of it yet, but apparently the poster for the next movie is dealing with Yamato, Sora, and Taichi, so I guess they're not getting paired up anymore. I think it's going to be interesting either way. I can't wait to see what happens, and I love Digimon more than ever seeing these movies. It just flashes me back to my childhood every single time, and this one was no exception. I thought it was really great. I thought it was the best out of all the 3 try movies that we've gotten, and I hope they keep making them better and better as we go along, because this has the potential to be something really, really great, and I can't wait to see where it goes, and hopefully they will explain everything to me instead of making me more and more confused every single movie. Once again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be talking about next week. I still haven't finished watching the 5th season of Game of Thrones, but I hope to do that this week. Fingers crossed. So if I finish, I will talk about that next week, but if I don't, I will come up with something. As always, feel free to write down in the comments and suggest any topics that you would like me to talk about. If it's anything related to TV, books, movies, any geeky type thing, if I'm knowledgeable about it, I'll be sure to add it to my list of videos to make in the future. You can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsoweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlsoweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia, and as usual, you can visit my main website, FreakingNarnia.com. All my videos are there, so in case you want to catch up, there you have them all in order, ready for you to watch. Also, remember that I do have a Redbubble store where I make typography art with some of my favorite quotes from TV, books, movies, etc. So if you're into quotes like me, and you like that sort of geeky merchandise, be sure to visit my store. The link is down at the bottom, and maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate every like and every subscription that I get. I still can't believe that people are actually watching these videos because they are insane, as am I. It's kind of a surprise every time I get a like or a subscribe, so please keep on doing that and make me happy, I guess. That's pretty much all I had to say for today. I'm Carla, this is Nala, and together we bid you adieu until next week with another talk from all the way in freaking Narnia. Bye, guys! Bye! Carla, we're not being I don't glad that she had an appearance. What's her name? They're all going to Davis Miyako as shown in the poster. Nala, whom I love.